going on, y'all? It's Tequila Beats, aka Ak, and today I'll be showing you how to make really dope, dark, trap, Lil Durk type beats. So for the first thing, I almost always start off with the piano. I'm getting, again, a free one from Labs called Glass Piano, Glass Grand. And for this sample, we're going to be in B minor. For samples like this, you really want to rely on half steps and creating a lot of tension to get that kind of almost horror movie kind of aesthetic. As you can see, like this D and C sharp, F sharp, G, or a G and F sharp again, you really want to have a lot of tension in these. You don't necessarily need to release it, but you just want to create this very almost horror film kind of feeling. It's also very important to make sure that the bass isn't doing anything too crazy. For beats like this, you really only want to change it up in the last bar or maybe even 2 bars like I'm doing here, because you don't want the bass going all over the place so that the 808 has to keep on changing. You want the bass to be pretty static so that the things such as hi-hats, snares, and things can create the real bounce. Then for my favorite part of the piano, I love this little rundown right here. As you can see here, this B and F sharp, not much tension, but then as you get down to this G and this F sharp, those are clashing a bunch, and it really wants to relieve down to just this F sharp. Again, it's just another means of creating a bunch of tension, which is what you need in these beats. So now that you have a really strong main melody, you don't really have to add a bunch more in. For almost any sample, you can be pretty minimalistic, but I just want to keep on adding to that ambient soundscape. So what I'm going to do is I just take this, copy it, and then I go over to this bell sound. Then I'm going to paste it in. I'm going to pitch it up 2 octaves because I know I want to halftime this. Then I'm just going to add the very classic bell sound, a flute one shot, and finally, some accents and a choir. Then I'm just going to layer a texture on top of it and add some very subtle effects on everything, such as reverb and maybe an isotope vinyl. Then let's export it out and hop into a beat making session. Now we're in a brand new session, and the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to pitch up this sample. For basically every sample I use, I want to keep it between C minor and E minor. I notice that if I have my bass lower, such as in B minor, A sharp minor, A minor, pause, or I have it above it, such as F minor, F sharp minor, or above, it really just doesn't make that 808 sound good. If it's too low, it's going to sound really muddy, and if it's too high, it's going to sound very thin and very twangy. So the first thing I did was take the entire sample and pitch it up 300 cents, so now we're in D minor. Real quick, if you're enjoying this video, I'd appreciate a like and a sub, and I'll also drop a comment with a link to a sample pack that I have with 15 trap loops just in this style that I really think you should check out. But first things first, I start off with the hi-hat, and I'm really doing nothing crazy. I'm pretty sure I used the MIDI and then I just spiced up some of it, but again, you're just doing very subtle rolls and things like that. Next, I'm getting a snare, but I didn't really like how it sounded. So of course, I'm just going to normalize it, go here, I'm going to bring up the boost a little, then you want to click on clip. This will make it so that the sound is a lot louder, and it will just make it cut through the mix a lot more. Recently, I've been on a crazy wave where I just want to put different pitches on the snares and things like that instead of using different ones. So for this, you can see for different accents on the snares, I'm putting on different pitches. But then I also get another snare. And then to go along with that, I have some really simple open hats and a cymbal. Again, these aren't the kind of beats where I have to go crazy with the bounce, because we already have a melody that's doing a lot, so you don't want to do anything too crazy with the drums. And this is what the whole bounce sounds like before I add the 808s and the kick. As you can hear, it's nothing crazy, but it's still got a really good groove to it. Then for the 808, I'm using the Spins 808 the long way. And all I did was I just got a long 808, but then I brought up the end knob to make it a little bit shorter. Then I'm also going here, boosting it a little bit and putting on clip. And like I said earlier, we kept the bass really simple, so the 808 doesn't have to do anything too crazy in terms of switching notes or anything like that. Then we finally added a kick. And recently I've seen everybody on a wave of not using kicks, just getting 808s that hit super hard, and I'm really opposed to it. I think kicks are the best way to make your beats really knock through because you really want an emphasis on certain 808s, and you can't really just get that by only using an 808. Using a kick will just make it knock, especially when you're in a car or something with crazy speakers. It'll just make it sound 10 times better. But then for the effects, I really don't do anything. I think if you have good sound selection, then you don't need to actually add any effects, except for maybe an EQ to add some highs to something. But then I'm going to my master chain. I use my classic master chain, Fruity Soft Clipper, bring down the threshold, Fruity Multiband Compressor, go down here to mastering 2.4 and bring the high up at least 1 dB. And then I'm going to a limiter and just bring it up a certain amount of dB until I think it sounds good. For the arrangement, you want to start off with basically everything, get your sub bass and all that in there. And then you want to have a drop where you drop everything but the kick. After 8 bars, then you can drop in the kick, and this will just add a really nice sense of always building on and always adding something into the beat to add a bunch of energy. But that's going to be the beat. Again, please check out my sample pack and drop a like and a comment if you enjoyed, and I'll catch you on the next one.